So today, if I could point this out to you, we are going to do a cigar review on the Balmoral Anejo XO. If you don't know about it, by the time we finish, you will. And we haven't cut nor gotten started with ours because we want to give you a couple of intros into the build of this cigar, which is quite interesting. It's a very unique blend of tobaccos and its selection, and I've already bought a box and I believe I've smoked in 80% of that box already because it's just that good. And Bob, what do you think about this? Because we can talk about the blend, which is really going to knock a lot of folks back on how interesting this blend is. But what do you think about the Balmoral Anejo?
This is an interesting cigar because it's one I actually found by accident. It was misdescribed when I was trying to order some Balmoral Connecticut's. And I got these, and the first thing that intrigued me was the wrapper, because the wrapper has a texture to it. This Brazilian wrapper has a texture to it. Yeah. And I thought, this is really kind of unique. And so my recollection, Louis, is that I smoked one of these and I shot you a text and said, oh my God, you won't believe what I found.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost through with my second box of these. We just love these. Beautiful cigar.
Yeah.
Beautiful band and presentation on it.
Yeah.
Let's see what we think of it. Just some initial notes. I mean, we're not sitting here with tasting notes today.
No.
We're basically going to tell you as we get it. So, as I smell the wrapper, I'm getting kind of a hay kind of aroma off of it. Why don't you tell us about the foot? What do you get off the foot?
Well, pretty much the same thing. But I get a lot more of it, a lot more earthiness, a lot more of a hay, barnyard hay at that. And I think a lot of it's got to do with that blend. So we're going to talk about that now. The filler is Brazilian, Dominican Republic, and Nicaraguan. That's a unique blend in and of itself. The wrapper, as Bob already mentioned, is Brazilian. But the binder, and again, they stayed pretty much consistent, is Dominican. Has a lot of nuances and its complexity to this. It's a cigar that it will relax you a little bit because of its medium to fullness, and it's not harsh. You get a nice, again, smooth smoke. It burns well, burns clean, and we'll be able to tell you a little bit more about that as we cut light and then smoke this and give you our take on it from 1/3 to the next.
Well, let's cut it. I guess as I'd make a last observation before we do that, which is as you look at the foot, you can actually see the color variation from the various tobaccos that are in this, which I think is kind of interesting. But let's go ahead and cut in like this, Louis.
It's just a beautiful smell. And I think we should do a dry draw on this to see. Very interesting, very pleasant. Enjoy that on the dry draw.
Yeah, again, I'm getting
the same thing.
a much more subtle, more subtle hay type of flavor off of it. Not the power that I kind of was getting off of the foot.
Yeah. Well, so let's fire this puppy up.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Now, for you guys that are not familiar with what we're doing right now, we're just toasting the foot of this cigar with sort of indirect flame. You don't want to thrust this into the fire, if you will, until you start to see some white ash develop. And I got this going pretty nicely, and now it's time to put it near the flame and yes, everything we said about it and then more. This is a great cigar, and that's truly how you want to light your cigar. If you're using what I'm using here is a Triple Torch by Vertigo. Shameless advertising. It's a great lighter, comes in about $10. Buy 3 or 4 of them so you can have them wherever you might, want to put one in your car, your truck, your office, your home, carry in your pocket. For $40, folks, it's a lighter that you make an investment in that will always be reliable and works in almost any altitude. I took one with me up to Tahoe yesterday and didn't have a problem at all. And Tahoe's pretty high up there in altitude, about 8,000, 7,500 feet, not a problem. So Bob, what are you getting off that first puff?
Well, as you get off of a lot of sticks, there's a fair amount of pepper in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a hard time really distinguishing anything else from that pepper, but it's quite there's definitely a pleasantness to it. It's not just strength coming through. It's kind of a medium in strength pepper, but I'm gonna take a couple more puffs here, and then we'll see what we get beyond that.
And that you guys don't notice, so I'm going to share something with you. It's not just us smoking this. We got our cameraman smoking one as well, and he's sitting back and enjoying it. As a matter of fact, he's got a big $50 grin on his face. So this is one that we are happy to review with you today. And as we get through the first third, like I said, we'll tell you what our take on it is, and then we'll keep going until we get to that last third. But Bob, on the retro, what are you getting off of that?
I'm getting a little bit of cedar off of it. Again, a good solid medium on the pepper, but it's quite pleasant and smooth. So there is a definite smoothness to this cigar from the start.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's so many cigars that assault you with that pepper at the beginning.
Yeah.
This is one that is smooth, even though it's peppery from the start. As I said, I'm getting a little bit of cedar at this point.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of what I'm getting off of it. Not the perfunctory leather. Guys, I want to hear from you. How are you picking up that leather? Because I've never tasted leather before.
I don't know. I used to chew on the strings of my baseball glove.
There you go.
Do you lick your leather jacket? I don't know.
I don't know. But no, this is good right out the gate. Great start. And I guess we'll just continue smoking, and we'll get back to you when we get to that second third of the cigar. Stay tuned, folks. There's more to come. Thank you for tuning in. As you can see, I'm into that first third, clearly on my way into the second third of the cigar, and it is phenomenal. It's still consistently doing what we started. Although the complexity of the smoke has changed just a little bit, so there is a subtle sweetness. Everything that we're getting is off our palate. The cedar, the aromatics are still there, and for those of you that retro, Bob and I have both done it. He does a little bit more than I do, but on the retro, get a little bit more pepper. Bob, what are you taking? What's your take on this right now?
I found the flavors to develop quite significantly over the course of that first third.
Mm-hmm.
Not very much cedar at the beginning. It got to really a little bit of cedar, a fair amount of cocoa, and some sweetness on the palate that I wasn't getting on the retrohale. As I wrapped up that first third, that sweetness is starting to come through the retrohale. Again, very smooth on the pepper on the retrohale.
Mm-hmm.
But that cedar has now kind of come back in full force to me.
And it's interesting because although we have different palates, we're pretty much simpatical on what we're getting off this cigar. So that, I guess, speaks volumes to the cigar itself. There's nothing I can disagree with what Bob has said on what he's getting off this cigar, and I'm getting the same thing. Although Bob has lost his ash, and I still have mine. That's the construction of this cigar. That's a nice. If you can see this, that's a nice clean ash, and you can see the veins from off the wrapper, pretty much present in the ash itself. This is a wonderful cigar. I really look forward to just continuing to smoke and enjoy this. And Bob, anything else you want to add to this? Because this is a great smoke.
I do want to add one thing, which is I was sitting here on my iPhone as we were wrapping up the first third, ordering a couple of boxes of them. So get them while you can. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that my ash fell off, honestly, because it's well formed. The color striation is what you would expect to see what you're getting on your cigar.
Yeah.
And mine just happened to fall off. But that's what we're getting out of the first third. We'll get back to you after the second third. As we worked our way through that second third, I found still we have the cocoa, the cedar, and I'm getting that sweetness on the palate. That sweetness seems to change in character. There's a battle going on in this stick in that second third for the prominence of the cedar versus the cocoa, and it's going back and forth. And as that happens, the nature of that sweetness is changing as well. I've also found that the pepper has lightened up a lot in the second third. But I'm loving this cigar. I'm loving the complexity of that change that you experience almost from puff to puff in this, as to whether or not it's primarily cedar, primarily cocoa, a lot of blending of the two. It's just a back and forth kind of thing. I'm really loving this.
This is, yes, a very consistent but yet complex smoke. I'm going to have to remove the band shortly because it's getting there. But folks, I got to tell you, we mentioned it earlier. These are going away from the U.S. because of FDA regulations and restrictions. And I don't know if you paid attention, but Bob already put it out there. He's taking advantage of placing an order, and if you wait, you're going to miss out, because guess what? I just ordered some myself, and our cameraman's ordering. So we're all getting in with what's available right now, and once it's gone, it is going to be very impossible to find. If you could find it, get it. Don't delay. And you know what they say, if you wait, you miss out. Great stick, great construction, great smoke, complexity but consistent in its flavor notes. I can't say enough about this Balmoral Anejo XO. This is the Rothschild Massivo 5x55. Guys, this, I don't know, Bob, what more can I say about this stick?
Well, I don't know. We'll find out when we get down to the last third.
When we get to the nub, and that's going to be the tell-all, because then, as you know, all those flavor notes just migrate up to the nub, and then that's the epicenter of the power in this cigar.
Okay, well, we're now well into the final third, Louis, on this, and what are your thoughts?
Well, just like when we started, although the pepper on this has become a little bit more subtle. I retrohaled it a few times and it's not as peppery, but it's still there on the palate. I'm still getting the same flavor notes as before. I got the cedar, a little cocoa, and the complexity is there. It's getting to be a little bit more pronounced in its flavor notes on my palate. And I'm just truly enjoying it. That's where I am with this right now. It's just, I am amazed at how consistent this cigar is and the clean burn that I'm getting off of this. I haven't had to tap the ash. The ash is falling off as it needs to, and it's allowing me to really enjoy the pleasure of this smoke. And what about you, Bob?
Well, I think I'd make the same comment about the pepper. What I've noticed most in the final third is that pepper has gone from a solid medium when we started to more in the mild to medium range, and is really leans more towards the mild. It's not nearly as prevalent as it was. Again, that battle between the cedar and the cocoa continues. The sweetness is still there. I'm really enjoying this. I think it's a wonderful cigar. There's a reason that this was in our humidor before we started, and a reason that we've bought more during this review. Final thoughts, Louis, on this cigar?
Well, for those of you that have bothered to stay with us, hope that you did and enjoyed what we talked about. This cigar review is one of many, and I highly recommend that you get this cigar in your humidor and just tell us what you think. What are you getting from this? We don't want to plant the seed, so to speak, that you get what we say you get from it, but this is what our take has been on this cigar. It's priced just right for your budget. And the caveat, yet again, I'm just going to keep repeating it. Don't wait, because once it's gone, it's gone.
And I think we don't know whether this is going to be available outside the U.S. or not. It wasn't, from what I read, that's not clear. We were talking as we were smoking through this, and you know, of all the cigars that we have in our humidors, and we have a lot, this ranks at near the top of mine. I mean, you know, if you had to pick one, you could only have one cigar to smoke. We talked about a couple of different ones, and you know, we have everything from lower end budget sticks to some very ultra premium sticks in our humidors. This ranks right up there with those cigars that are at twice the price point for me.
I would agree. Yeah, definitely.
And so I think this is really one worth trying. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for listening to our review of the Balmoral Anejo XO Rothschild Massivo. We invite you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please hit that notification bell to be alerted when the next episode is published. We're the Cigar Ambassadors.